Well, welcome back to the nightmare. In the previous episode, the roof, as you recall, was stolen by pirates off of our beloved chicken truck here, and we had to go on a little quest to recover it. And we got it back, and we started trying to piece it back on here. Got the front kind of tack welded in a couple places, and then we went to put it on the back, and that's when we noticed that there's like pieces missing now. The back doesn't line up at all. You can see there's a big gap here, and there's just a lot of issues. So in today's episode here, we're going to tackle the fitment issues on the back of this roof here. We're going to try to get it dialed in to where it fits back on again. I really don't know what's happened, but we'll get it figured out. Hey, well, I have no idea what's going on right now. There's problems. Some idiot chopped the top on this truck, and if you remember in the last video, I chopped the rear slightly more than the front because I like the way it looks, and that's the problem. Is I like the way it looks, but we've created a whole new set of problems for ourselves. So you probably saw me just go ahead and drill out the spot welds on this inner brace, which I guess kind of had to be done because on the other side, if you remember the last video, it wasn't even attached anymore. All the welds had broken away or never were even attached to anything right from factory, so I figured I'd just re-weld it. And the problem that we created for ourselves is because it's chopped more in the back, trying to get all this gapped to fit right. We got different angles coagulating here. So you saw me probably do like a relief cut here through here to get this angle to the angle into the right angle. And the front roof is not really a big deal, but at the back here, this is where our problems are arising. So as soon as I put this this back roof piece on, you're going to see a lot better what's going on. But I made a relief cut here to allow this to pivot up while still maintaining the proper geometry here. And I guess we'll put the back roof section on, and then you'll really see what's going on. Okay, oh yeah, we also widened the roof because, well, it wasn't wide enough in the back because of the angle of this. So we did that to fix this problem here, and you can see this is fitting a lot better now. Still needs to be pushed around a little bit, but that's looking, you know, if you remember right, you could almost fit your whole finger in here because of it just wasn't wide enough. So we decided to widen the roof through the middle, which is how they chopped the roof on the Rod and Custom Dream Truck. We could have made it work different ways, but this seemed like the path of least resistance there. So that's what we did. But you can see the problem we have now is because, like I said, this is chopped slightly more in the back. Well, if I line this edge up here, this is too far down, and so that ain't gonna work. If I bring this up, well, then that completely goofs all of this up here, plus it messed up at the back, plus you know, it seems like my first instinct was just to slice here and move this edge back, which would solve, you know, then we'd have a good gap at the top. But then the problem is because this roof is going back now this angle of the roof is actually gonna visually appear like it's going in, and even though it still would have some curve to it, just the small fraction that it's tilted back, it just doesn't look right to the eye. So I think I have a solution to this problem, but we'll see. I'm just going to start cutting and tacking, and we're just going to start fixing it on the fly. I've already thought about this for like the last day of how I'm going to solve this. And really, all we can really do is just start cutting and hacking and hoping our plan works out. Could have just done this the easy way and just whacked this thing out and just chopped an equal amount in the front and rear and then just lorged it back together with but instead we're doing this the painfully slow, tedious, complicated way. All right, here, progress report. What's happened here is we're still not out of the danger zone yet, so we're not really able to fully explain what's going on because we don't really know what's going on. I think where we left off is I did this relief cut here, and I ended up just cutting the whole thing right off and lifting it up, and that fixed a whole pile of our problems there. We got the right angle on the back of the roof now. You can't really see that, whatever. And all that really came ahead was like 1/8 of an inch or whatever, but it was enough to make things look wrong. So we got that sorted out. You can see we've got our gap here. The drip rail has to fit back on, so we need to leave a bigger gap. And you can also see the door top still needs to be like cut and welded and gapped because it's all kind of wavy, but that's another problem for another day. I don't worry about that until things are a lot further along. Now, the situation here, of course, is we did widen our roof here. I just tack welded in a band in the middle here. Still needs welding and a bunch of finish work, and that's a whole project in and of itself. So because we widened the roof now, we're gonna have a gap here, and it's really tempting to just go ahead and weld this gap up, but the more filler material you put in with your weld, doesn't matter if it's TIG or MIG or whatever you're welding it with, it just becomes pretty much impossible to finish out that weld and make it look nice, because there's always that harder weld, and it just makes a mess. So rather than weld in a teensy little filler strip in the middle here, or fill it up with coat hanger or whatever the technique of the day is, I've decided that we're just going to remake this piece from here to here, so it's all going to be one piece, and then we've only got these welds here to worry about, and so we're not like trying to build this out of 800 different pieces, and it'll just be less work in the long run, but that's a future problem. I think the next step right now is going to be to get this filler piece tack welded in. That way that's going to kind of dictate the crown of this roof and how it all flows together, and that's also going to dictate the way that this fits into here, because right now this gap can change based on where this roof is propped up to. You're probably wondering why I took the rear of the roof off for the 87 millionth time, and I'm wondering that too. Well, maybe this will explain it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get the filler piece for the back of this roof. I'm going to get that tack welded on now, just so I'm not trying to fight a narrow strip of metal on a floppy roof. It's just going to be a nightmare. So if I get it solid on here, it might make it a little easier, and then I've only got one seam to tack weld, and that's the theory anyways. You also see I got our profile gauge that we made in the last episode of the roof shape. We got that cleat in place here just to kind of hold everything where it needs to be. In theory, that's all going to make this go really good, but probably not. Yeah, I actually went out and got myself some Clecos instead of using sheet metal screws like a pirate. Really makes me kind of look like I know what I'm doing now, hey? Just got to get some face tattoos, and then I'll really start getting some respect. Just taking a moment to bask in our victory here before we go and toss this back on and venture into the realm of crushing defeat when we find out that none of this is going to work. But I just used the a strip of metal that I cut from below the window when I chopped the roof. So it's the same thickness, but the main reason I use it is because I'm incredibly cheap. So we'll see how that works out. And I just got it tack welded on here every 1 inch or so with the TIG. So I guess the next step is to toss it back on and see how it looks. What's been going on here? A lot of struggling. We got the roof just kind of tack welded in here. That was a bit of a battle. Still pretty chonky, but we kind of got something starting to look like something maybe. I've just been tack welding everything with the TIG, which makes it a little easier for finishing out later, even though it's more tedious than using the MIG, but MIG just makes such a mess of everything. So this profile gauge we made of the roof ended up coming in handy. I ended up clecoing it to here as well, just to kind of hold things. And you can see, if you remember, this gap before was a lot tighter, but once we actually put the roof, because we cut all the strength out of it and cut it back, it just basically collapsed. So we had to kind of hold it up while we were tacking it, and if we had left it flat when we were tacking it, then everything would have just not been very good at all. It would have just bad things. I don't even know what we're trying to communicate here. Even though it's still pretty roughed in, the shape is kind of all starting to come together. We got a lot of things fitting together that were never meant to fit together this way, so it's quite a battle. But yeah, I think the overall shape is starting to kind of resemble something, so I guess we're on the right track at least. I also got the rear of the roof just tack welded in down here. Just use the old cut and butt to, you know, let it overlap or underlap or whatever, and then slice through the bottom layer, clamp it all together and tack weld it up. And so widening the top of the roof there really made this all come together nicely. We didn't have to do any relief cuts through here, so this is all going to be pretty easy seam to finish out. Can't really say the same for the roof situation, but anyways, I didn't do anything with the back window yet. The theory with this back window is I want the bottom of the lip here to kind of be the same distance as it is on the door, so that it all kind of matches, I guess. The back window is actually shorter slightly than the side windows, so it all kind of, in theory, works together. I'm also contemplating changing the shape of this this back window here, just to kind of mimic the sides of the cab. So there's a couple different ways I might do that. But that's kind of a future problem. I'm going to get the rest of the roof dialed in before I even kind of figure out what's going on there. So we'll just leave it the way it is for now. This band in the roof, though, this is going to be the real challenge. There's going to be, when we weld this, it's going to do bad things. I think I already said, like, none of these shapes were meant to be orientated in this way. So we've gone and disrupted the entire shape of the roof by adding this band in. We tried to put it in the most strategic place possible. So we still have some strength here with this curve, but you know, it doesn't matter what we do. It's going to be a challenge for sure. And so I got a little more tweaking to kind of get it to the right shape before I start welding it. And then once we blast it together, it's going to, you know, it's just going to make a mess of this whole roof, and then we'll have to hammer and dolly and planish it back into shape. Probably going to be a lot of shrinking disc action as well, and just a lot of bumping and banging and swearing at it. So that'll be coming up in the future. Sam Gates, the fellow who originally chopped the Rod and Custom Dream Truck, apparently he finished out all these roof seams to the point where they didn't even need any lead or anything. So that guy was a heck of a body man, and that's way beyond my skill set. But if I can get this to the point where it's not like a valley of shame, and but also not a mountain of sorrow, we can get somewhere betwixt those two for this roof, so it has the right shape again, then I'll be happy. But well, at least if it does go into the valley of shame, at least you can fill that. You can't fill the mountain of sorrow. So we'll yeah, stay tuned for that suffering. But the next step on this is going to be getting all this dialed in here. You can see there's a lot of different things coming together that aren't supposed to be together. So definitely some challenges up ahead here. The inner hack in me just wants to put a band in here and put a band in here, zip this up so it's about weld and just weld the heck out of it. But I know that that's not really the right way to do it, and I'm gonna pay for that. It's not gonna be it's gonna make a mess, but you know, the roof already is a mess, so we'll see. The proper way is just to remake this whole piece. So whatever is coming up, the next episode will be either making a new piece or absolutely butchering this together. And I just want to get everything tack welded together before I finish weld anything on this roof. That way I can make sure all the shapes I'm happy with them. And then it also doesn't make sense to weld all this while this is all loose, because then it's gonna, you know, walk around on us and we'll just never get anything straight again. So I was definitely hoping to get a bit more progress done in this video here. But we ended up just spending a lot of time just kind of scheming and plotting, and not a lot actually getting done. We also ruthlessly wasted a whole pile of time. So mostly time was wasted. You know, there wasn't actually a lot of thinking going on. But as far as the thinking goes, you know, it's good to have a plan, but at some point, you know, we just had to start tack welding and cutting stuff and making it work. And as soon as we started doing that, then it kind of did start coming together. So I guess there's a lesson in there somewhere. You know, there's a time for thinking, but you know, too much thinking and nothing gets done. So I am pleased with how it's starting to come together. It's still very roughed in at this stage, but I think you know, the potential is there anyways. So yeah, I think we're gonna be dealing with this section of the roof next, and then we've still got these A-posts here, which we have to weld up all the inner structure still, and then put the cap back on. And so there's a lot to sort out yet on this roof. Not to mention, I also have to cut down and modify and widen this inner panel, so that's going to be a nightmarish job. And there's garnish moldings to cut down still. You still have to re-engineer these vent windows somehow. And unfortunately for you, the viewer, I'm going to be filming the whole process from start to finish. Also, just wanted to give a shout out to Brent over at Half-Ass Customs. For some reason, he gave our little show here a shout out the other day. So that was pretty cool of him to do that. And if you're not subscribed to him already, I think most of you already watch him, but if you're not, you should really go check out his channel. He's building one of these advanced design trucks. I think it's a GMC, and he cut the roof off and made it into a roadster pickup, and it's gonna have like a Carson top, and it's got a pretty swoopy, cool custom bed that he's building for it. So it's pretty awesome looking truck, and if you like, I guess the thing that we're doing here with this, then I think you're really gonna like what he's got going on. Plus, he actually gets things done. You know, in the time it's going to take me to finish out this roof, he's going to have that truck done and on the road, and probably have built like 10 other cars. So definitely check out his channel. And for any of you who came over from his suggestion, first of all, I just want to apologize for everything you just watched. We don't really get things done very quickly around here, and I'm kind of an idiot, but you know, we do eventually manage to struggle our way through things. So thanks for joining us, and hopefully you're not too disappointed with the program here. Well, thanks so much everyone for watching and following along and supporting this abomination of a project, and we'll see you all again very soon.